Hi guys, it's Jess from Honest Fiction, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing a challenge video. I selected 12 of my absolute favorite fantasy romance books, and I'm gonna have to decide which ones I want to reread, rewrite, or burn. Alright guys, so how this is going to work is I selected 12 of my absolute favorite fantasy romance books. Now I tried to stick with newer releases, and I also tried not to repeat authors. So I wrote all the titles down and I put them in this trusty bookish wine glass, and I'm randomly going to select 3 titles at a time, and I'm going to have to decide which ones I want to reread, rewrite, or burn. So I really love this challenge. I recently did it with contemporary romance, so I'll leave that video linked in the cards and in the description. And if you're unfamiliar with my channel, I post new videos every Thursday and Sunday. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. You can also hit that notification bell to be notified whenever I post new bookish content. You can also check out my Instagram and Goodreads, both linked down below. With all that out of the way, let's begin. All right guys, so I'm going to shake up the wine glass. I am really nervous. I have all of the books laid out in front of me, and this should be interesting. When I did the contemporary romance version of this, it was really difficult. So we'll see how this goes. First up, we have To Bleed a Crystal Blue. Okay. Next up, we have King of Battle and Blood. All right. Scarlett St. Clair. Vampire romance, really good. And then last up, we have What Lies Beyond the Veil. So, all right, I'll tell you a little bit about each book, and then I have to decide what I'm going to do with them. So, To Bleed a Crystal Bloom, fantasy romance, this young girl is found the only survivor of her family's brutal massacre, and then this man, the man who found her, ends up taking her back to his home where he raises her, and all he asks in return is for a drop of blood every night. So, I really enjoyed this. And then next up is What Lies Beyond the Veil by Sarah A. Parker. I adore this book. This is actually going to be a pretty easy round because I already know what I want to do. So this is following a girl that lives in this community that is separated from the Fae realm by this veil. And in order to keep this veil running, this community sacrifices a human I think it's every year. And on the day our main character is supposed to be sacrificed, the veil ruptures and all the Fae come out. And it's so good. I loved this. And then last up is King of Battle and Blood by Scarlett St. Clair. This is an enemies to lovers fantasy romance, and our main character is the princess of this realm, and she is going to marry the vampire king in order to try to kill him, and obviously enemies to lovers, but very, very fun. So, which one will I reread? Really easy. What Lies Beyond the Veil. I adore this book. I actually want to reread it anyway, just because the second book is going to come out, I think in this July. And I want to do a recap video for this before the second book comes out. So I will be rereading What Lies Beyond the Veil. And I will be rewriting To Bleed a Crystal Blue. So I love this. However, it is so confusing. I feel like there were some parts in this that could have been taken out, and they just weren't really relevant to the plot. If you've read this, there's a point where the main character goes into heat. Feel like that wasn't really necessary. I still love this book and definitely plan on rereading the second one. It was just that scene didn't need to be in there. So I would rewrite this and just like take that scene out and a few other scenes that I feel like they didn't really need to be in there. Which unfortunately means I am going to burn King of Battle and Blood. I liked this. This was really fun. I normally like Scarlett St. Clair. I really liked her Touch of Darkness series. However, I really like a drawn-out, angsty romance, and these guys start doing it like super early into the book. Like there is no slow burn whatsoever. So yeah, I would burn this, unfortunately. It's still really good. It's just out of the 3, this is my least favorite. All right, round 2. So I feel like the last round wasn't that bad. Hopefully the rest will be that easy. So let's see. First up, we have, I grabbed 2. Zodiac Academy, The Awakening. Okay. A King So Cold. Already between those two, it's gonna be so difficult. Wow. Okay. And then This is going to be the hardest round. All right, Fortuna Sword. So, oh no. All right, so A King So Cold, Zodiac Academy. And then Fortuna Sword. Darn. Okay. Okay, so I'll tell you about these books, and then I'm just going to sit here and ponder for like 10 minutes. So, Fortuna Sworn, this is by KJ Sutton. This is the first book in a series, and this is following Fortuna, who has the power of being a nightmare. So if she touches you, she shows you your biggest fear. And in the beginning of this book, she's searching for her brother, and her brother's been missing for 2 years, and then one day, a fae shows up on her doorstep and says, I know where your brother is, but if you want to find him, you have to marry me. So this series is just, it's so good. So good. So then, next up is A King So Cold by Ella Fields. I had a friend that was telling me to read this for like months, and I kept putting it off because I was waiting for the audio version to come out. I wish I read this physically, because this is probably one of my favorite duologies, like fantasy romance duologies ever written. It's so good, and it does an angry, merciless queen character really, really well. So if you're a fan of Guild, I would highly recommend picking this up, because I feel like this does a better job showcasing like an angry, distraught character. But that, I didn't tell you anything about the plot, did I? So this is following it starts off with this queen who finds out that her husband is still alive, and she captures him. But then we kind of find out why she is so angry at her husband. And also these people are coming to invade her throne, and we kind of get to find out what caused all of this to like start up. So it's so good. It's so good. And then last up, obviously, the Zodiac Academy. I have a full series, spoiler-free series review on this book. This series is one of my favorite series of all time. It's like a bad soap opera that you can't stop watching. And yeah. So, I don't want to burn any of these. Like, I would jump in the fire first. Oh, I don't know. Okay. I know which one I'm going to reread. So let's start with that. I'm going to reread A King So Cold. I adore this book, and the second book, A Stray Prince, I enjoyed even more. I didn't add The Stray Prince to this list just because I didn't want to add a lot of sequels in case you didn't read the first book. But I love this book. I love this book so much. So I will definitely reread A King So Cold, which leaves me to having to decide between Fortuna Sworn and Zodiac Academy. And no. Okay. I'm going to rewrite A Zodiac Academy. Only because the writing in this is not good. The first book, the writing it's bad. It's just really not well written at all. There's some pacing issues. There's just some really cringy lines. There's like Faybook instead of Facebook, and just stuff that just felt very young. So I would definitely rewrite this first book. I do think as the Zodiac Academy, as like you progress through the series, the writing gets better. But this book definitely could use like additional editing. So I'm gonna rewrite Zodiac Academy. And it hurts my soul to say I'm going to burn Fortuna Sworn. But honestly, it's only because I want to rewrite the Zodiac Academy so bad. And this book was actually written pretty well. Yeah, I'm gonna burn Fortuna Sworn. I'm sorry. All right, well, that last round sucked. That was not fun. Okay, hopefully this next one isn't too bad. So we have These Hollow Vows. The Book of Night. So I also realized Book of Night is not a fantasy romance per se. However, there is a relationship in it, and it's a new release fantasy book. So I included it. I also included the Atlas Six. The Atlas Six. So that actually worked out perfectly. That's actually really funny. Okay, so let's see. Book of Night, Holly Black. These Hollow Vows, and then the Atlas Six. Okay, so a little bit about each book. Atlas 6, this was all over TikTok a while ago. It's about this group of students that are all competing to become the newest members of the secret society, or this Alexandrian society. And this book is smarter than I am. It's very, very complex with like its magic and everything, but I really enjoyed this. I like this a lot more than I thought I was going to. It's not spicy at all. I feel like a lot of people are pitching this as like a super spicy book. There's like 2 or 3 spicy scenes. But this is fun, and I can't wait for the next one. Next up, we have These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. This is kind of similar to ACOTAR. It's following this girl, Bree, and she lives in a world where fairies can make deals with humans, but Bree wants nothing to do with that, and then her younger sister is kidnapped by the king of the Unseelie court. So Bree has to go to these Fey lands, and when she gets there, she meets the prince of the Seelie court and then a bunch of misfits from the Unseelie court and forms a friendship with all of them. And this is super fun. The next book is coming out this month, and I cannot wait. And then last up, we have Book of Night by Holly Black. So this is Holly Black's first dive into adult fantasy. She's known for her Cruel Prince series. Didn't love that series, but I actually really enjoyed this, and it's just following this thief that gets hired by this guy that wants to infiltrate a group of people that use shadow magic. And this book reminded me a lot of Ninth House. Okay, so let's figure this out. I know which one I want to reread. So I'm 100% going to reread These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. This book was just fun. I really enjoyed it. I've been waiting for the next book since I think I read this actually exactly a year ago. And yeah, I can't wait for the next one to come out. So definitely gonna reread These Hollow Vows, which means, ooh, okay. Okay, so, ooh, I don't, ooh. Okay. I don't know if okay. I just said okay like 50 times. So I am going to rewrite the Atlas 6. Why am I going to rewrite the Atlas 6? Because I feel like this book was overly complicated and there was no need for it to be that way. I love the fact that this was so character driven, and I love the characters in this book. Like, that is really what sold me on loving this book. All of the characters are morally gray, and you hate them, but you just want the best for them. But I feel like parts of this book were they were kind of boring. Like, I think this had some pacing issues. So I would like to rewrite this and just like change up the pacing, try to make it a little bit more, add some more action scenes, because I loved when they did that in this. So yeah, I would rewrite the Atlas 6, which unfortunately means I would burn Book of Night by Holly Black, which is probably the least popular book in all of the books I have right now. Yeah, I would burn it. This was good. It just wasn't a standout adult fantasy for me. I feel like it was fine, but it was also a little bit forgettable. I probably will read the sequel, but yeah, it just wasn't absolutely amazing. All right, and that leaves us to our last 3, and technically I do not have to pick them out of this jar because they are the only 3 left on the table, but I'm gonna do it for consistency's sake. So we have The War of Two Queens. This is gonna be a really hard round too. And Crescent City, House of Sky and Breath. I did not want these 2 to be in the same round. The fact that these 2 are in the same round is crazy. Okay, and Untainted by Lillian T. James. Okay, so I'm sure you guys know what these books are about. 2 of these are sequels in series. I really didn't want to add sequels, but I just feel like these 2 books are like super popular, so I included them. So first up, we have Untainted by Lillian T. James. This released pretty recently, and it's following this girl that is a princess, but she's kidnapped when she's very young, and she's raised by humans. And she blends in with humans to the point that she actually forgets what she really is until this Fey male shows up, tries to kill her. It kind of reminds her of her past. And I really like this. This was fun. This kind of got me back into fantasy romance. I went on a bit of a fantasy romance like break, but this was really good. Then we have The War of Two Queens by Jennifer L. Armentrout. People either love this or hate this. I enjoyed this. I love From Blood and Ash. It is one of my favorite fantasy romance series. And I love all of the characters. This gave us Kaz's point of view. I have a bunch of content on FBAA, so I'll leave some of it in the cards and in the description. So if you don't know what the series is, you can check out that content. But yeah, I was fine with this book. It was probably my least favorite of the series, but also it was still a great time. I think I ended up rating it like 4.5 stars. And then last up, we have House of Sky and Breath. So this is the second book in the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. This book, also, a lot of strong opinions. I mean, this book made me love Rune Dannon even more than I already did. The ending of this book was just chef's kiss. So good. All right. So, okay. I feel like two of these books are like just from series I love so much that like I know which one I'm gonna burn, but then deciding the other, I don't know which one I want to reread or rewrite. Because both could be rewritten. Okay, ooh. I'm actually surprised by this, just as much as you guys probably are. I'm gonna reread The War of Two Queens. Yes, the writing in this isn't great. I would consider this to rewrite. However, I love this story. I love these characters so much, and like, it was fine. I'm gonna read everything that this woman puts out about these characters. It's so good. So I'm gonna reread The War of Two Queens. I'm going to rewrite Crescent City, House of Sky and Breath. The pacing in this book was horrible. This book took me the longest to read out of any other Sarah J. Maas book I've read. And yes, I understand it's long, but there was just so long of passages where like nothing happened. And I'm sure the information given to us is going to be relevant eventually, but this book just felt like the biggest info dump. It was just all of this information without a lot of action. And it took me forever. The ending of this book, however, completely made reading the entire book worth it. So I would rewrite this, try to fix some pacing issues, and yeah, still love it. Still 100% gonna read the next book, but it had a few issues, which means I'm going to burn Untainted by Lillian T. James, solely because the other two series are like the most beloved series of my life. So unfortunately, this is only the first book. I haven't read the second book yet, so I will be burning this, but still love it. Still a really good time. All right, guys, thank you for watching my reread, rewrite, or burn fantasy romance book challenge. Please let me know down in the comments below if you would have made any different decisions. And please feel free to leave me recommendations down in the comments. I said this already. I post new videos every Thursday and Sunday. And if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. I will see you all next week.